Perfect. I think we are on. So, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Erica Garcia Travis from the Careers and Professional Development team here at WGU, and I am super excited to introduce today's guest. We are joined by Devin Jennings over here from MarketStar. Devin is actually an MBA graduate of WGU, and he is skilled in all things related to talent marketing and managing employer brands. And so today he's going to be sharing his journey through the dynamic sector, the leadership opportunities that it holds, and how driven professionals can step in and make a real impact in a very competitive market. So Devin, we are super happy to have you here with us today, and I am going to hand it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you for the introduction, Erica. Yeah, like Erica said, my name is Devin Jennings. I represent MarketStar. I'm on our talent marketing team, which means I always say that I'm kind of like the awkward stepchild between the talent acquisition team and the marketing team. I kind of get the best of both worlds there. But this session today should be really insightful. We're talking about everything to do with the culture at MarketStar, which is a good culture to emulate in any organization, some of the careers opportunities that we have here, and then our four-step sales process. And, the four-step sales process is something that we use at MarketStar, but I've found that it can be applicable in a wide variety of situations. But a little bit of background about me first. So I graduated with my undergrad back in 2020, which is when I started at MarketStar. And when I joined MarketStar, I quickly realized that there were a few individuals on my team that just seemed like higher caliber. They had a lot of advanced knowledge that a lot of other members on the team didn't have, and I wanted to be more like them. And so in talking to them, I found a common denominator, and that was that they had all done a master's degree, and a lot of them had done it through Western Governors University. And so I was able to kind of emulate that and do that as well. So luckily for me, MarketStar has a tuition reimbursement program I was able to take advantage of. And I was able to, while working, earn my MBA from WGU, and it has been really impactful in helping me to become a more impactful employee, and it's helped me grow in my career in the last several years. So big fan of WGU, and I know the culture and the things that it teaches, and it definitely works in my experience. Before we really dig into it, I just want to say, I know that most people aren't on camera, but the chat is active. We were talking about favorite and least favorite Halloween candies earlier and where we're all from. It looks like we have people from all over the country, which is really cool to see. Feel free to be active in the chat. If you see something you like or hear something you like, feel free to share your thoughts around it. Let's make this a really collaborative experience where we can learn from each other rather than just me talking at you. If you have any questions at all, don't wait till the end. Just go ahead and drop it in the chat. And if I can address it in the moment, I will. And then, at the end, we will have a dedicated question and answer time where we can get to all of them. But just to make sure you don't forget any questions you have, feel free to drop them in the chat throughout, and we'll keep track of them. With that, let's go ahead and get into it. So first, I'm going to kind of answer the question, what is MarketStar? Because I've talked about it already, but I'm willing to bet most people joining haven't heard of MarketStar before. Or if you have, you might not know what we do because it is admittedly a little bit confusing. So some quick info about MarketStar, right? We were founded in 1988 in Roy, Utah. So that means that we have this year is 37 years of experience in this industry. We've grown from Alan Hall as our founder. We started in his garage, just a one-man show, and it's now grown to a global company with over 3,000 employees, and we operate in over 90 countries. So there's been a lot of exponential growth, especially recently in the last few years. But our headquarters and our local offices are in Ogden, Utah, and in Salt Lake City, Utah. We have an award-winning workplace culture, which we'll talk about more later. But what we really do is called business-to-business tech sales outsourcing, which is a big term. So we're going to break it down a little bit. So when we talk about B2B tech sales outsourcing, when we break that down, it'll make it easier to understand what we do exactly. So B2B mean business to business. So when we do sales, the type of sales that we focus on isn't business to consumer. We aren't selling to you at home sitting on your laptop. We're selling to other businesses who are going to be buying kind of in a bigger amount or different amount, right? And have different problems that we're trying to solve for. When we talk about technology, that's really the industry that we focus in. So all of our clients are in some way or another related to the tech industry, whether that's software, hardware, advertising space, the metaverse, whatever it is that has to do with technology. Those are the clients that we focus on when it comes to selling their products and services. Sales. I think we all know what sales is, right? But a lot of people have a misconception that sales is getting people to buy stuff that they don't really need or swindling someone, where that is just simply not the case. We really do relationship-based selling. So every transaction that we're doing is with our clients, but also with the people that we're selling to on behalf of our clients. It's to build a relationship and really build kind of a partnership where it's a mutually beneficial relationship for both parties. And we provide solutions to our customers' problems. And so then outsourcing is kind of the last key word here. So outsourcing is hiring out a business to an outside firm. So a good example of that is, maybe you get done with your work day or you get done with a long day of school and you need to eat dinner, but you're just too dang tired to cook. And so what do? You get a restaurant, right? And so what you're doing in that moment is you're outsourcing dinner to a restaurant because they can do it quicker and it's going to be a lot better than what you can cook at home anyways, if we're being honest. And so they just kind of take care of a problem that you have for you and make your life easier. And then if you want to double outsource it, right, maybe you have somebody DoorDash it to you. So then you're outsourcing the delivery to take it straight to your home as well. So everybody does outsourcing probably more than they think. But that's what we do in sales, right? We talked about how MarketStar has been in this game for 37 years. We really are sales experts. We literally write textbooks on our sales processes and what it takes to be successful in sales. And so that's why our clients come to us, right? Because either it's, such a pain to stand up a sales process on their own and they would just rather have us do it so they can stick to doing what they do best, which is making great technology. Or because even if they could stand up a sales team on their own, it's not going to be as successful as what we can do, right? They're the tech experts, we're the sales experts, so they leave it to us so that we can create higher revenue for them, or a combination of those two things. So now that we've kind of walked through it a bit more, hopefully you have a bit better understanding now of what I mean when I say that MarketStar does business to business tech sales outsourcing, right? I used to say that we sell sales, but that seemed to confuse people more than help people. So we'll stick with this explanation, right? But what you're going to see on this next slide is that what we do actually works, right? We sell for some of the biggest and best brands in the world. So if you want to take a minute, everybody pay attention to this slide and go ahead and put in the chat, what are some of the brands that you see here that you personally use or are familiar with? And there's others that aren't even listed here, but these are some of the big brands that we represent, right? What's one that I'm seeing here? Reddit, I guess, that's one of our largest client teams right now. We have several hundred sales representatives that are MarketStar employees, but they are 100% dedicated to Reddit and selling their advertising space to small businesses. So if you use Reddit at all, I know that there's a huge Western Governors community on Reddit. And if you've been to Reddit and you saw an ad, chances are that it's very, very likely that a MarketStar sales rep sold that advertising space to that business that's advertising on Reddit. That's a good one. Microsoft, we do a lot of stuff with them in terms of channel sales. So we sell their hardware and their software to other businesses on their behalf. We have a huge Google team as well, right? Google Chrome, Google EDU, Google Cloud. We do a lot of stuff with them. What's another favorite of mine? Meta, that one's kind of fun, right? If you've ever used, we do stuff with like Meta social media stuff. We also do stuff with like the Oculus virtual reality headsets, right? So think about like, if you've ever used virtual reality, it's kind of fun. I've played some games on VR, but what we do is we sell virtual reality hardware and software to businesses for use. So for example, like my wife is a nurse and she works in a hospital, and she's able to do virtual reality training to do like emergency situations or complex procedures and practice it out in virtual reality first before doing it in real life. So really, really cool stuff happening. And like I said before, all of these businesses trust MarketStar with their brands because they know that one, we can give them higher revenue than they could accomplish on their own. And two, we're really, really good at what we do. And so hopefully this gives some validity to what I'm going to share throughout the rest of this presentation, right? And hopefully it gets you excited about the potential of working at MarketStar and getting to grow really quickly and put some of these names on your resume. You know, a lot of people, when I was close to graduating, were asking like, oh, you're graduating soon, what's next? Do you have a job lined up or anything? How cool would it be to say, yeah, I'm graduating soon and I have a job lined up with MarketStar. I'm going to be representing Google, or I'm going to be representing Reddit or Microsoft or Meta or HP or any of these number of brands. Really, really awesome opportunity to grow and build a resume right out the gate. So now we're going to dive into MarketStar's culture a little bit and why you would opt for working at MarketStar, why our people stay, right? Excuse me. So you've probably heard me say a couple times already that MarketStar is a great place to grow and build career growth for yourself. That's because that is our mission, and our purpose of our company is to create growth. When I say we create growth, I mean we create growth for our clients. So clients that sign on with us, they are going to experience revenue growth and business growth because they're partners with us. We create growth for our people. So everybody that works at MarketStar is able to build their resume and grow their career. We've often been called a career accelerant. So you can come here and you can grow and level up so much quicker than you would with some of our competitors. And we also create growth for our community. So we have a whole giving back concept at MarketStar where we're very involved in the communities where we work. And like I said, that's 90 countries. That's all over the US. We do a lot of giving back work to kind of benefit the communities as well. So MarketStar is a great place to create growth for clients, for employees, and for our community. And then we also have our 6 core values that guide everything that we do. So we don't make a single decision at MarketStar unless it aligns with at least one of these core values. Before I go through them individually, you guys can see them on the screen. If you want to, share in the chat which of these values seems to resonate with you the most, or seems to like catch your attention, right? So the first core value is you belong. So everybody who works with us, if they're willing to live these core values, belongs at MarketStar and is going to have a place here. And none of our employees should feel like they don't fit in or they don't belong. You know, as long as we share these values and we share this mission, we're all going to have a home here at MarketStar. The next is all in every day. So we believe in giving our best effort Definitely putting in the work and the hours to be successful. Um, we don't really do like lackluster efforts or anything. We definitely want to be all in on creating success for ourselves and for our company and for our clients. Next is leaders who amplify. So I've actually been very impressed with the leadership here at MarketStar, both like executive level leadership and kind of more management level leadership. We have a dedicated leadership development program called, called Ascend, where we take our leaders through this development program to teach them kind of uh, best practices for leadership and for management, and also expose them to every area of the company. So our leaders know how best to help their people and what resources they can give them and how to be an effective leader. And that's something that I was actually able to go through after joining MarketStar. About a year after I joined, I was eligible to go through this leadership development program. And it definitely changed the way I saw leadership, definitely changed how I led. And, but actually, I was surprised how much overlap there was between this development program and what I learned at WGU. So, what I did in school definitely gave me a leg up when it came to that leadership development program. The next core value here is masters of our craft. So we put a lot into development of our people. We dedicate a certain number of hours per week to just learning and development. So you're not expected to be answering emails. You're not expected to be on phones or doing anything to do with revenue. It's just self-development. We have courses that we pay for our people to develop any skills that they need. We also, like I said before, have our education reimbursement where people can do additional education. So we definitely want our people to be the best that they can be at what they do. The next core value is creativity that impacts. And so this has to do with trying out new ideas. At the end of the day, the best idea wins, but we're definitely okay with trying things that we haven't tried before, or doing things that in a way that haven't been done before, and seeing how it works and what sticks and what doesn't. And creative solutions are what we need in order to advance our business. A lot of people have said that MarketStar feels like the best of both worlds and that it's a large company with large company resources, but we still have that startup mentality where we're pushing the envelope and trying to grow as quickly as possible. The last value, which is most people's favorite, is we care. The people at we say that people at MarketStar is our greatest asset, right? We really, really have amazing people that work here that care about their colleagues and their coworkers. We care about the communities in which we live. And you're going to see on some of the other slides, like some of the things that we do for the community. But really, the people is what makes MarketStar great. Working in talent marketing, I get to see where all of our applicants are coming from, whether it's from different job boards or from the website or ads we're running. But the largest bucket of where we get people wanting to work from us from is through employee referrals. So people telling their friends, hey, I want you to come work with me at MarketStar, which tells a lot about an organization, right? If the largest amount of people that you're getting that are wanting to work for you is from your own people that are saying, I like working here, I want you to work here too, talks a lot about your culture, right? And then a close second is we call them boomerangs, right? Or people that have worked for us before and went somewhere else because they were chasing money or career growth or whatever, went somewhere else. And then they've either grown and are ready to come back or just realized what they had and, the grass wasn't greener on the other side. And they want to come back to MarketStar and the amazing people that we have here. So, that's a big tell about what the culture is like here, is because our highest buckets of how we get talent is from referrals and from people that have actually worked here already and want to come back. Let's see. Leaders, all in, masters, we care. I think about every value is mentioned in the chat. That's cool to see. Something resonates with everyone. This is just to show kind of some validity to what I was talking about, we have a great culture and people love working here. We've got a huge list of workplace awards, right? We're a great place for women. We won the Best CEOs for Women award. We're on the Women Tech Council Shatter list. We were named a top workplace by Top Workplaces and by Built In and by Entertainment. We got the Best Workplaces for Innovators award and Best Workplaces in Early Career by that Fast Company. So a lot to celebrate here and a lot to be excited about. Oh, whoops, didn't mean to skip through that. So this shows some of our benefits. We have this belief at MarketStar that if you take care of your people, then they will then take care of your clients, and your clients will grow the business with you. So we've invested a lot into our benefits package to make sure that our employees have themselves and their home taken care of, and that they have everything that they need to then be successful at work, right? And so what it doesn't show here is that there's an insane culture of understanding and flexibility and support within the people at MarketStar. What you do see here is that we have standard benefits for all of our employees, like medical, dental, vision, all that stuff. We also do have mental health resources, which is a big deal to people nowadays. This is one of our most cited favorite benefits, is the access to therapy sessions and online mental health resources that we give our employees. The other one that a lot of people love is the 4.5 weeks of paid time off. And this isn't something that you have to work your way up to. This is year one. That's how many weeks of PTO you're getting. And so when I started at MarketStar, I told my dad how much PTO I get. He's been at a bank for 30 years, and he was flabbergasted because I was getting as much PTO as he was getting for being a 30-year tenured employee, right? And I was year one. So you do get a lot of paid time off to use kind of at your disposal, right? Excuse me. Which is awesome, right? I kind of find myself being like, I got all this time off. What do I do with it? Should we go on a vacation? Should I just take a day off? It's really awesome. We have family medical leave, paid holidays, dependent care assistance if you are a working parent like I am. When they came out with this benefit, it felt like a $5,000 raise. So this has to do with, we say dependents because it's not just kids, right? But if you have, parents are people that use it the most. Like if you have kids that go to daycare or after school camps or anything like that, this will contribute towards that. So that's awesome to see. And then we love to see the education reimbursement, especially for the night owls on here. This could pretty much cover your tuition. So awesome to see. Any questions about benefits before we move on? I see some people saying that they love education reimbursement. They love the paid birthday. And actually, now that you say paid birthday after 1 year, I should update that because we got rid of the 1 year thing. It's just, you just get your paid birthday immediately. All right, let's move on. I talked about about caring for our community, right? And so this slide is about our MarketStar Foundation, right? We do a lot through our foundation to benefit the community. We dedicate 1% of our revenue to the MarketStar Foundation, and the MarketStar Foundation is dedicated to educational opportunities, self-reliance, and creating growth for the communities in which we live. So we have a culture of service here where every month we have opportunities to get involved in the community, go help out with causes that are important to you and to the people that work here. So some of these pictures here, I was at this one on the most left, right? We went to a family crisis center and we were able to help them just clean up their whole facility for a morning. The next picture over here, We've run a tech sales pathway group of, so every year we have high school kids that do this as like an internship to learn about tech sales. The one on the left with all the canned foods, we deliver canned food goods to elementary school kids so that they can take home a bag of food for the weekend, because a lot of kids are facing food insecurity these days. And then the one on the right here is a born learning trail at one of our local parks. We were able to paint like some letter and number activities for little kids to learn in a fun way. We do stuff like this all the time, right? Like last week, I was able to go help our local ice sheet that's going to be one of the sites for the Olympics here in the next few years. I was able to go help. I was able to go and help them kind of paint and renovate their facility. So a lot of ways to be involved in the community and help out. Okay, let's get into the meat. This is probably why a lot of people are here, right? Is the 4-step sales process. Like I said before, the 4-step sales process is what we use at MarketStar to do our sales to other businesses. But it applies in a wide variety of situations, right? You could use this in any sales role that you're working in. You could use this even if you're not in sales, but you need to convince someone of something. This is a good way to go about doing it. I have a 3-year-old, and so I've been using this to negotiate bedtimes and dinner and all sorts of things. So this is a great skill to have and to kind of keep in your back pocket as something that you can do when you find yourself in those situations where you need to have some negotiations or some sales skills. Okay, so 4-step sales process. Step 1 is to engage. You want to be a human, get the conversation going, and get the person that you're talking to in the right mindset. You really want to like put them at ease and ask them a question that gets them to think, right? Not just a general like, how you doing? Good. Okay, let's get into it. Something to get the brain moving, right? Like we talked about earlier, what's your favorite uh, Halloween candy? Where are you from? Like I've been doing here in the chat, what's your favorite value or benefit that sticks out to you? Something to get a non-programmed response so that they have to engage with you and actually have a conversation, right? Not one of those things where they just are looking at their phone and you ask them a question and they respond without even thinking about it. You want to ask them a question that would make them put their phone down, make eye contact, and think about like, that's a good question, and get some buy-in and get engaged. Once you have their attention, then you're going to establish objectives that and align on kind of what are the objectives of this conversation, right? Obviously, if we're employing the 4-step sales process in a professional capacity, it's because there's some problem or some need or some interest in what you're selling. And so let's establish our objectives, right? What are we hoping to get out of this? Are we looking to discover a solution to this problem? Do you just need some information? Let's get on the same page. So that's step 1, engage and get on the same page. Step 2 is to conduct a needs analysis. So this is a good step for figuring out what exactly the other party needs without coming across as like salesy, right? It's not so much about like pushing a product or pushing a service on them, regardless of what they need, as much as it is finding out what need they have and what you have to offer and where there is a connection, where it can be, like I said before, mutually beneficial. What can we provide them that'll actually help them with their problems? And then what can we sell them that'll benefit us as well? So a good way to go about conducting this needs analysis, this is one way to do it, right, is to prepare a T-chart, right? So where you can talk about in column A, you have your talking points about points of your product. Avoid talking about like specific features at this time. Column B is any relevant questions based on those talking points that you have. And then column 3 is corresponding features. So list of features that you have for your products that you can offer that answer the questions that your customer has. So T-chart is the first way to go. Now, continuing with our needs analysis, right? We have that it's important to avoid discussing features up front. You know your features and you know what you're selling. The customer doesn't want you to push that on them too quick. They want understanding that you know their problems before you start to just push your agenda, right? So avoid talking about value propositions and focus on shaping the questions that you're asking to the other party. And a good way to do that is to ask open-ended, probing questions. This is asking about like their feelings, their attitudes, their understanding of the subject, open-ended, probing questions. And then the last point is to avoid leading questions. So instead of a not very well thought out question like, wouldn't it be useful to have a solution that helped with this? That's so kind of cliche and leading, and customers can kind of see right through that. Instead, a good example of a non-leading question is, how do you balance all of these processes that you're working on to get done what you need to get done? And asking and actually like listening to what they have to say, and then seeing where you can be of service. So step one was engage. Step two is conduct the needs analysis, right? Get their attention and get them thinking, and then ask them like figuring out what exactly they need and where we can be of service. So then step three naturally is to provide a recommendation, right? You're the expert in this topic. You're the expert in what you have that you're selling. And so this step is really focusing on recommending and highlighting product features that you have based on what they expressed as being important during the needs analysis. So in the recommendation, you want to summarize, what it is that you are recommending, repeat what you heard in your needs analysis. I heard that this and this and this are important to you. The next is needs, right? Clearly tie back their needs to what it is that you have to offer. Relevancy, so make sure that whatever it is that you're recommending is indeed relevant to the customer. So an example is, like I mentioned, our Reddit team is one of our biggest teams and they sell advertising space. If the customer has expressed that they need to be seen online, you would recommend that Reddit advertising space is a good way to go because it's where the internet lives. And if your brand is on Reddit, you're definitely going to get a lot of views. But like we said with the relevancy, if they express something different, like they need some ad impressions, but they really want it to be done in a traditional format, at that point, you might just have to say, like, this is a digital advertising company. I can, talk to that. But if you're really heavy set on traditional advertising, it might not be a fit. And we're not going to waste anybody's time by trying to continue any further. So make sure that what you are offering is actually relevant to the needs that they expressed. And then lastly is to challenge and advise your customers. Be confident in your role and that you can help them achieve what their goals are. Okay, and then the fourth and final step is to close. So summarize how your products fit with what the customer needs, and then move on to confirming that you've met those needs, and then get a commitment of some sort, whether that's for another appointment, whether that's for a purchase, whether that's for responding with a question that they had, whatever it is. So the human element is required for gaining commitment. Before you get started with setup, ensure that your customers are fully on board. In this step of the 4-step sales process, we want to set clear expectations. Don't try to oversell, under deliver, I guess is a term that you hear often. You want to set clear expectations for what you can and can't do for them. The number one cited reason for buyer's remorse is because this product didn't meet my expectations or it didn't do what I was told it was going to do. So make sure that what you're selling, you're telling them truthfully what it can and can't do, and setting expectations appropriately for how everything is going to be communicated. I've talked about this recently with some colleagues, but setting expectations and then having those expectations met is a great way to build trust with a customer. If you tell a customer that your product will do this, and then they try it out and it actually does that thing, they are going to feel like trust was built with you, and that when you tell them something is going to happen, it's going to happen. If you tell your customer that you don't have an answer to a question, but you will follow up with them, and then you get off the call and you immediately go look up the answer to that question and you follow up, trust will be built. But far too often you see sales reps who say, oh, let me get that to you. And then you don't get it for like another week or ever. Or you have sales reps that tell you this product will do this for you. And then you try it out and it doesn't really work that well. That's a great way to ruin a relationship from the get-go. And I guarantee you that if you have that experience, you're not going to be very inclined to buy from that person in the future. Like I said before, MarketStar is all about relationship-based selling. And so we're really good at what we do, but we continue to upsell our current customers because they have relationships with us and we've built trust from the get-go. So setting clear expectations is a great way to build that relationship and build trust from the beginning. And then when you're building trust and you've kind of set these expectations and it's more of a relationship, it's important that you continue to treat it as such. Using the words we and us makes your customer or the other party feel like we're in it together. We're on the same team. It's not a you versus me. It's you and I figuring this out together, and let's conquer these problems together. Research has shown that using we and us promotes better outcomes in partnerships. So once you've gotten to this step of closing and you've set expectations and you're building trust, you want to continue to treat it like a relationship. I see in the chat somebody says it's also really difficult to deal with an angry customer after someone has promised them a feature that doesn't exist. I've been there more times than I would like. I've been there as well in a previous role. I had to take phone calls from people who were unsatisfied with their service, or they were told that we would do something that then it never got done. And I had to take those phone calls, and it is not fun. And sometimes it's just not salvageable, to be honest. But you know, the saying goes, best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The next best time is right now. So even in those situations where you're dealing with an angry customer, a good way to kind of turn that ship around and right some wrongs is to begin immediately with trust building again. They're not going to believe you. It's going to be hard, but if you say you're going to do something, actually do it, and you'll see that a relationship begins to mend. So let's recap our 4-step sales process really briefly, right? Step 1 was to engage, get a non-programmed response, and then establish and align on the objectives of the conversation. Step 2 was to conduct a needs analysis. What exactly is it that you need? Prepare a T-chart so that you have it all laid out of what you can offer, what features you have, and how it fits with the questions that the customer has or what needs that they have. Avoid discussing those features, but just ask open-ended probing questions to listen to what they say and think about what you can offer that gives them what they're saying they're needing, and avoid leading questions. Step 3 in the process is to provide a recommendation. You are the expert in this subject, so summarize what you heard them say, make sure that you heard them correctly, and then make a recommendation based on what they told you that's relevant to what they need and clearly ties to those needs, that it's going to be a problem solver, and be confident. And then the 4th step is to close, get an actual commitment. A lot of people in sales, they take it to the 99-yard line and then they drop the ball, right? You gotta close in order to continue this relationship and to get anywhere. So make sure that you get a commitment from your customer, whatever that looks like, whatever the goal of the conversation is. Set clear expectations for what you're going to be doing next, what the next steps are, and also for what your product can and can't do. And then turn it into a relationship where trust is built. I guarantee you that if you follow this 4-step sales process, even if it doesn't result in a sale, you're going to have good experiences where your customers feel heard and they feel listened to. And if what you offered them doesn't end up being a fit, but you followed this process, they're going to feel like they can come to you in the future with if an opportunity arises, or trust is going to be built and there's going to be additional opportunities that arise from it. So this is the 4-step sales process that we use at MarketStar. This is what our training team teaches our reps to use in all of their sales conversations with other businesses. And it's a great kind of foundation for sales. Like I said before, this is great for B2B tech sales, outsourcing type sales. It's good for other types of negotiations or sales conversations that you're going to come across in your career. And it's great for just personal life, talking with your friends, or in my case, negotiating with my 3-year-old daughter who sometimes rules the house, right? So hopefully what I've shared from the 4-step sales process is going to be beneficial to you in your careers. If you have additional questions, go ahead and start dropping them in the chat. The next thing that we have is question and answers, right? So if you want to talk more about MarketStar, our careers, or our culture, or any questions specific to the 4-step sales process, go ahead and drop them in the chat and we'll get to them really soon. Before I take it to question and answer, just want to do a quick plug for how you could apply to work at MarketStar. If I did a good enough job using the 4-step sales process to convince you to want to work here, right? The first option is to just apply directly on our website. Maybe the easiest way is to just go to our careers page. You can filter out any of the jobs that don't fit for you based on like location and stuff like that, and then just submit your application right through Workday. The next one is through major job boards. We have our jobs on Handshake, Indeed, LinkedIn, so you can find us all there. And then thirdly, feel free to follow MarketStar on LinkedIn to be up to date with everything that we have going on at our company. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. And I can answer, any questions you have. If you want to have a follow-up conversation, I can do that as well. And I share stuff about MarketStar all the time. Okay, I was talking a lot. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much, Devin. No, it was amazing. I learned a lot, first of all. And for everyone, please feel free to put in your questions. I know we have a few already on there. We have a link. We've shared the Handshake link on the chat as well. And we have the first question. Do you have any opportunities in Houston, Texas?
That's a great question. The answer is yes. The vast majority of our roles are going to be in the Ogden or Salt Lake City area. We have a lot of different clients with a lot of different philosophies towards work or security needs. So a lot of different locations that we work in and a lot of different styles, right? So fully remote work, hybrid work, or in-office work. So a lot of the roles are in office or hybrid. And so that's why I say most of them are going to be in the Ogden and Salt Lake area. But we do have opportunities in Texas. And it's not even one of those like once in a while things. It's like, I know that right now we have positions in Texas, and it seems like more and more I'm seeing positions in Texas. So the answer is yes. That you're just not going to have as many options in Texas as you would.
The next question, what is the pay like?
Yeah, the pay. So we operate on a base plus bonus structure for pay. So every single one of our sales roles has a set base compensation where it's just kind of like your hourly wage or your salary, right? That you get regardless of your sales performance. And then on top of that, every client's a little bit different, but you have a bonus that is structured based on your sales performance. So whatever percentage of your quota you're hitting, it's going to qualify you for a higher tier of bonus. MarketStar's base compensation is higher than typical in the sales industry, just because we talked about basic needs and everything. We want our people to feel taken care of. But people are hitting their bonus regularly. Some of our teams have a capped bonus structure. So if you apply to a job at MarketStar, you're going to want to ask your recruiter about this, right? A capped bonus structure means that hitting 100% of your quota will get you your full bonus. Going beyond your quota isn't going to get you more dollars. You're just still going to get your full bonus. Some of our teams have an uncapped bonus structure, meaning that if you hit 100% of your quota, you get 100% of your bonus. If you hit 200%, you get 200% of your bonus. And the cap is unlimited. So we have reps that are on an uncapped bonus structure that are actually refusing promotions into management because they want to keep doing sales under that structure because they're making so much more than they would. So hopefully that answers the question. A typical starting entry-level salary at MarketStar is something like a $50,000 base with like a $5,000 to $10,000 bonus.
Amazing. Thank you, Devin. What are MarketStar's needs?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, like most tech companies, we have a wide variety of needs. We have roles in human resources and marketing and IT. All of that is available from time to time. The vast majority, like 95% of our roles, are going to be sales related. So if you have experience or interest in sales, that's going to be kind of a good fit for you. The specific skills that we need, I guess. So let's talk about education, right? Because at MarketStar, we very much value education, and if we see a degree on your resume, we're going to we like to see that. We definitely value it, but we don't require education. We don't have typical degree requirements like a lot of companies do. And so if you're in the middle of your program, that you don't have to wait to graduate to apply to work at MarketStar. We'll take you as you are right now. A lot of the skills that we have a need for are sales reps, even if they're entry level and they don't have experience, but they have a lot of like grit and hustle and determination to do well in sales, and they're able to implement feedback and coaching. So if you can, do a sales pitch, one of our coaches will critique you and give you some feedback, and then see if you're able to implement that feedback into your sales pitch. That's a skill that we look for heavily in our candidates. Hopefully that answers that question.
We have another one. Does MarketStar do business with healthcare systems?
Good question. I can't say that it would be off the table. Currently, we do not. That's not an industry that we've cracked into yet.
With the hybrid jobs, how many days a week would you be in the office?
Yeah, great question. It varies widely depending on teams. So one of our more common formats is that you are in office 3 days a week. So usually they do Monday and Friday are work from home. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are in the office. That's the most common one. Some teams, they want you to live in a certain state, and you're pretty much work from home, but like 1 day a month or 1 day a quarter, they'll have an in-office day where they get together. My role is 1 day a week in the office. So I spend Tuesdays in the office. The rest of the days I work from home. So I'm from home today, right?
Perfect. What does the initial training look like, and how long does that take?
Yeah, it's a good question. So we do MarketStar level onboarding, which lasts for 1 week. So when you join the company, regardless of what client team you're on or anything, you're on the MarketStar level onboarding with everybody for a week where you go over all the HR information, all of our culture and values things, get set up with all your tech and everything like that. And then beyond that, every client team has their own training programs so that you can get specific training for that client specifically. And it's different. For some clients, it's like 2 weeks and then you're ready to go. For some clients, it's like an extended 3-month onboarding where you get like classroom time for a couple of weeks and then you start doing work, but you're in like your onboarding phase and it doesn't count towards your quota or anything because you're like kind of being trained and mentored along as you go. And then after about 3 months, you're considered like fully onboarded.
That's amazing. And I also love what you mentioned earlier that you were able to take that development program after a year. So lots of different growth opportunities within MarketStar. So that's incredible. How do I have to apply for an internship for work-related experience to get hired?
I have to apply for an internship for work-related experience to get hired. Um, well, I'll just say this, right? MarketStar, we don't offer typical internships. So if you're looking for an internship with MarketStar, you're not going to find like an opening posted anywhere for an internship. You might be able to just message us and we might be able to make something one off for you, but we don't typically hire interns. But you don't need to have internship or work related experience in order to get hired. Um, we hire entry level sales reps all the time that don't have sales experience because we're so confident in our training and our ability to ramp you up in sales. So we hire people without sales experience all the time, and we'll kind of give you that experience.
Awesome. And Devin, we will also be sharing your LinkedIn and your email just in case if anybody wants to connect with you for further questions as well. We do have 5 more minutes, so I'm going to continue with the questions. Would this be a good job even if someone is pursuing a degree in IT?
It's a great question. So tech sales is an interesting industry because we have a need for people with sales skills, but we also have a need for people who understand technology. Some of the clients that I didn't mention because they're a little bit more niche, right? We have like Netgear or Samsung or AMD is one of our bigger clients. Um, what are some other ones? HP, Intel. So a lot of these types of clients, their reps need to not only have sales skills, but they need to understand those products really well. They need to be able to speak at an advanced technological level. I'm not even going to try to pretend like I know what all of that is because that's beyond me, right? I would need a degree in IT in order to talk about all that stuff. So that would be a good MarketStar would be a good place for you to work if you have a degree in IT, if you're interested in selling relevant technology. Does that answer the question, you think, Erica?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, I agree with you. I think somebody needs to understand the language and be able to speak the same language, especially in technology, because
Yeah.
it's very different.
Yeah. We talked
Yeah.
about some of our roles being more entry level and you don't have to have any experience and we'll train you with what you need to know. Some of our roles are much more advanced and you need to have uh, technological experience and knowledge in order to sell those products and services. So for sure.
Awesome. Do you measure success mainly by quota attainment, pipeline quality, or other KPIs like client retention or upsell volume?
Yeah, great question. Every team is going to have their own KPIs for success. And I would say even different roles within that team have their own KPIs. Quota attainment is the most cited KPI that I see on my end. And that's what I see people's bonuses being tied to is their quota attainment. So that's a big one.
Perfect. And what does an entry-level ideal sales rep from a hiring manager look like from a hiring manager's perspective?
What does an entry-level sales rep? I'm not sure I understand the question. Or maybe what are, from a hiring manager's perspective,
Yeah, maybe some of the qualities.
what are some of the qualities hiring managers look for in an entry-level sales rep? Sure. So at the bare minimum, like we talked about, you don't need to have prior sales experience, but you need to have hustle and grit and determination, and you need to be able to be coachable and implement feedback. If you have those two things, we can work with you, right? But beyond that, any other work experience that has transferable skills is going to be helpful. So if you have experience in customer service or like in the retail industry, um, or in anything that has to do with like tech. I worked at a bank before joining MarketStar. Any of those things aren't necessarily like tech sales, but they have enough transferable skills that kind of gives you a foundation to build on. The other thing is education, not required, but valuable. Um, and then lastly is if you have any familiarity with the client that you would be representing, that's going to give you kind of an extra leg up. So if you're hoping to join the Reddit team, um, being a Reddit user yourself is going to give you kind of some familiarity to speak to the product that you would be selling. Same goes for Google or Microsoft or Meta or HP or whatever the client is.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Devin. We want to be very respectful of everyone's time, so we're going to do a hard stop right now. That's a wrap for today's session. Thank you all so much for joining us, for asking all of the very thoughtful questions and engaging conversation. If you guys have any questions, please send them our way. We would love to get those back to you, answer and send them back to you. Again, we'll be sending the recording tomorrow, and you also will be able to find the recording on our YouTube channel in the upcoming days. So thank you again. Thank you, Devin, for joining us. Thank you for the great session. And we look forward to seeing you guys later. So thank you all so much.